lost inside your ecstasy, wondering if we could be in heaven. We make our reality. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss, consumed in action. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss. I'm yours, me home. Take me home. Take me home. Hold me in your heaven. I won't forget the thrill of it all. Take me home. Take me home. Reckless, more than I've been free. Defenseless, with your eyes on me. It's like I'm caught inside your endless sea, falling fast into the deep. Surrender, won't be sound asleep. Yeah. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss, consumed in action. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss. I'm yours. Take me home. Take me home. Take me home. Hold me in your heaven. I won't forget the thrill of it all. Take me home. Breathless, rising to the beat. Infectious, comes so naturally. It's like I'm lost inside your ecstasy, wondering if we could be in heaven. We make our reality. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss, consumed in action. I've never known your eyes on me. It's like I'm caught inside your endless sea, falling fast into the deep. Surrender, won't be sound asleep. Yeah. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss, consumed in action. I've never known a life like this, a stranger's kiss, the sweet attraction. I've never known a love like this, forbidden bliss. I'm yours, take me home.
Check, check, check. Hey everyone, how's it going? It's dolltr or Claire. Nice to see all of you here. Thank you so much for your patience today with the feedback session. I jumped in half an hour ago to cover for Adam, who unfortunately isn't here today, but it's okay. He'll be here for the next one, and I'm really happy to be here on his behalf. So if you're just seeing me for the first time, because I know some people are specifically here for Adam, my name's Claire, and I'm an instructor at 343 Labs, and I'm also going to take a sip of water because I'm a little bit thirsty, but hold on. Yay, nice to see everyone again. I'm going to head over into the chat on YouTube to see if anyone's hanging out. Thank you so much also to Thomas, who's been working really hard to make this session happen, because we had a couple of things, reshuffling on. So yay, Thomas, give some claps for Thomas in the chat, everyone. Nice to see some folks. Hey, Ari, how's it going? Noise and Motion, hello as well. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you want to submit some tracks for feedback today, you are more than welcome to. Please email hello@343labs.com, which Thomas put in the YouTube chat, so you can check us out over there. And gonna listen to a couple of tracks today and hopefully get some audio routing correct. But before I even begin, maybe I'll just start off by doing my usual spiel that I do about feedback. So I think as an educator and as someone who's been doing both giving and receiving feedback, I found that feedback is best given in a safe space that's meant to be for feedback. I think one of the most awful kinds of feedback and the most terrible things that you can get in general, I think, is unsolicited feedback. I don't know if everyone's ever been in that situation where maybe you are just sharing a track, but then someone kind of comes in and is like, oh, you should do this, and you should do this, and you should do this, and no, the the straightforward answer that you'll get from me, which sometimes surprises people just because of how straight up it is I think unsolicited feedback is terrible. It's the worst thing that you can give to someone and also receive, just because usually people who are in that boat of giving unsolicited feedback are not there for you, but they're really there for themselves. So they are trying to, help out their ego or something like that, or, make themselves feel better by trying to think that they're giving advice to people. So that's why I really like feedback sessions, because it's a dedicated time for being, okay, we're all gonna kind of listen to a track and, think about some ways that maybe we can work on things. And I will also put it forward that you don't have to accept feedback that people give you. You can always consider it, and maybe it's one of the strangest things to be saying since I'm currently in this position, and as a teacher and as a professor, I'm usually the one who is meant to give feedback anyway. But even as a student, learning from other mentors, I continuously still am. It's great to hear the feedback and the thoughts of people, but ultimately, if you try to improve based on feedback and you find it's not working, don't take it. It's totally fine. So that was my intro spiel. Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hi to the mandolinist Cyan. I'm doing good. I hope you are doing good too. Thank you for asking. Really appreciate it. So again, one more time everyone, if you want to send us your tracks, you can do so. You can send it to hello@343labs.com. That is our email address for this. But in the meantime, let's just get started. So I think our first track came in from Sonia. I think is Sonia in the chat. I know she was here earlier, but hi! Thanks for sending in your music. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up over here. There was a little bit of a preamble also about how I think Sonia was concerned about how it sounds like it has too much of something. But you know what? Let's just go for it and let's listen to this. And everyone, if you are sending in a track, this might differ for different people who host different kinds of feedback sessions. But I would much prefer if you send in an audio file, so that I can put it into live and we can take a look at it. But of course, if you aren't able to, that's fine as well. Just because if we have it out in live, it will probably be much easier to navigate and map out. And I might be able to like avoid switching too many outputs or inputs and outputs. But yeah, let's go ahead and listen to, I think, Flutters. And I'm going to go ahead and change my inputs here in live as well. So you probably won't hear me for a quick second because I'm going to do some like Soundflower routing stuff. But let's take a listen. Here we go. Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Tanya, for sending that in. That was really cool. So one thing that I also like doing a lot of is whenever we do feedback or whenever I host like feedback circles, I do this thing that's called sandwiching. So we'll say like one thing that I really liked and then one thing that maybe could be improved on, if anything, and then like something else to kind of sum up. But that was really great, Tanya. Thank you so much for sending that in. One thing that I loved about it was just like the overall sound textures that you put in. I liked a lot of the percussion that came in, a lot of the drums as well. Liked a lot of the different like sound palettes. I think it had like a really great vibe to it. If anything, like I wished it could have been longer. Like it was so nice, and I was really starting to get into the groove, especially when I think the drums came in around like the 30-second mark. Yeah, I loved like the groove in the direction that it was getting into. And I would have loved to hear more of that. I felt like it could have gone to maybe a lot more different places, unless it was meant to be a short track, in which case I think it was great. But yeah, I would have loved to hear like a longer, build for it as well. And yeah, I thought it was great overall. I would have loved to see. I would love to see where you're gonna take this after. Like, thank you for sending it in. Really appreciate it. Ill Designer in the chat, welcome. Yeah, totally. That was very nice, and I think it also kind of we kind of asked ourselves with the question also, like, what the purpose of the track is, because maybe there wasn't meant to be a drop, Ill Designer. So maybe there wasn't meant to be a drop, but maybe there was something else developing, and I think it kind of goes to show also that it's important to think about the purpose of of someone making something. We would not have a drop if we wouldn't necessarily have a drop, and I'm fine with there not being a drop, but I would have liked to maybe hear it a little bit longer. I think it was about 1.5 minutes. I may be thinking incorrectly. No, yeah, it was about like 1 minute and 40 seconds long. So I would have loved for it to be longer, but that was awesome, Sonia. Thanks so much for sending that in. Yeah, totally. I just saw your comment about the BBG meetup. That was really fun. Unfortunately, we can't meet up in person for some time, but yeah, that would be nice. And Ill Designer, maybe you just came in, but I spoke a little bit about the practices that we usually share, or that I usually share whenever I host feedback sessions, and that's always just being mindful of the way that you're giving feedback. So saying something that you liked about it, saying something that maybe could have been improved, and then moving on to summing up and kind of doing the sandwiching technique, and also a little bit about how we want to be careful about feedback, just because if it's unsolicited, it is usually worst. So yeah, I did that spiel at the front, everyone. So if you want to, you can rewind and rewatch me say that. But I've said it so many times at this point that, yeah, absolutely. Rhythmix It had a cool vibe for sure. Yeah. Oh, Sonny, I just noticed something you said. Like it to be longer, but sometimes it falls off the metronome. Oh, interesting. Did you not do this with the click in live? Because I felt that even though the timing was quite fluid, it still had quite a lot of rhythm to it. So I thought it was done with the click, but let me know if it wasn't done with the click. That's super interesting. We could definitely chat a little bit more about that as well. Because it sounded really great. Like, it sounded very rhythmic and loose in a way that was maybe not unlike Dilla types of things. But no, very, very wonderful type of rhythmic stuff going on. So if you want to maybe elaborate on that and share a little bit more, that would be awesome. Thank you. Let's see if we can head over to the second track. Ooh, we have a lot more music. Thanks everyone for sending your music over. Cool. So yay, we got something from Megafauna Beats. I don't know if Megafauna Beats is in the chat. Megafauna Beats, if you are here, please let us know. Ooh, also, thank you so much, Thomas, for the reminder. We're announcing a giveaway winner for Arturia Pigments, which was our giveaway for this week. So it's funny, I spoke about this on Monday because I usually host the Monday show, so I'll also be here tomorrow. But yeah, it's weird. Now I'm kind of coming full circle because I was the person who announced it, but also the person who is going to say who the winner is at the end of the stream. So stay tuned. But yeah, let's move on to Megafauna Beats. Do we have... Oh, Ari, that's you. Thank you. Appreciate it. So let's have Ari's track. I'm going to pull it up over here. And thank you for sending in an audio file, Ari. Really appreciate it. So yeah, let's do... Oh, Sonia said, start off the click and then turn it off, turn it back on. And yeah, so one thing that you do want to be careful of if you're ever doing anything that's audio based, usually if it's MIDI, it's not so much of a problem, but sometimes for audio stuff, and this may or may not have happened, but it's happened to me a bunch before. Maybe I'll even demonstrate a little bit with Ari's track over here since it is a piece of audio. But you want to be careful sometimes when you're looping stuff, because let's say if I've got a piece of audio, I'll just copy this up over here. And let's say, it happens to be just slightly over, the bars. If I'd made copies of it, it could very well look as if it's, seems to be lining up as a loop, but it's actually not. So that's, and of course I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but let's say even it's a little more subtle. So I'll not destroy Ari's track, maybe bring that all the way to the end. But let's say it's like super subtle over here. So we're over in this part, and maybe it's not even that much. Maybe it's just this tiny, tiny bit of extra audio that's beyond the bar line. And even after that, if you duplicate it, it will still, look as if it's a loop, but it's not. So maybe that's something to check out for if it's not lining up properly. But in the meantime, let's move on to Ari's track. Thanks, Ari, for sending this in. Ooh, interestingly enough, there appears to be a little blip at the end. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but that's okay. I'll temporarily put that here. And let's take a listen. This is, I think, called Upbeat Trap, maybe? Here we go. I'm going to mute myself for this. Here we go. Yeah. Cool. So I'm going to take this down because I actually just saw that we had a couple of other tracks coming on, so I might have to move on a little quickly. But yay! Thanks so much, Ari, for sending this in. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I love the overall chill vibe. I just saw Sonia mention that too. Yeah, totally awesome. Great. Lots of feedback. Oh, Yvonne also mentioned about like the easily fooled by the loop thing. Yeah, totally. That's like come and bitten me like really in the back several times. But yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Ari. Yeah, to be honest, I think the main thing that I wanted to bring up was what you mentioned yourself, I think, which was something that's not supposed to be there. I think there may have been something that was, perhaps you muted it and then maybe unmuted it on the export. I was just, because most of the track was very cohesive, like I loved that. But maybe there was that little part that was like, boop, a little bit off. So yeah, and I do also think that in the bass line itself, there may be a section where perhaps it might be off just by a 16th note. It's quantized, I think, for most part, but it seems like it's just shifted off a tiny bit. So maybe try and check the bass line again. I do like a lot of the bass patch itself, though. So the sound that you use for the bass, I like it a lot, and I think that's something that mandolinist Cyan also said. Yeah, the bass line was really great. The sound was wonderful. I think it's really just a tiny part with the 16th notes when the bass comes in. So let me also just bring this up. So that last part, dum 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 dum. So the first part is really great. So let's take a listen together. Yep, just at the end, the dum 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 dum. The first part is great. Dum 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 dum. This part is great. This part, dum 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 dum. If you were going for like a laid back feel, I kind of get what you're going for. I think if you shift that just like a 16th or depending on the divisions that you're using, either a 16th or an 8th note forward, I think it might lock in like a little bit better. So yeah, cool. Oh, the bouncing chords are from the new Sematics beta. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Awesome. Great. Yeah. Oh, it's a Fender. Very cool. Yeah. Oh, Cosmic. Hello. Greetings. Yeah, just repeat it and pretend that it was deliberate. I think like that's a very jazz sort of thing to do. Even when I was doing like more piano jazz or jazz flute types of things, it's like do the same thing over and over again. Make sure it's like, you know, repeating itself as well. But yeah, thanks so much, Ari, for sending this in. Really appreciate it. It's a Fender. I like Fender basses. I think let's take a listen. Yeah, cool. Nice. Well, then this is something else to consider too that maybe was a little related to Sonia's piece as well. If it was from the sample pack and this was actually an audio loop, then just be a little bit careful of the way that it's warping in live. I'm not sure if you used live for this, but if you did use live, just be aware that sometimes the warping, even though it's pretty good in general, you do want to be careful of the rhythmic stuff, especially if you're, you know, moving things through different tempos and depending on what warping algorithm you're using, like if it's beats mode or another sort of mode. So I would say just be super careful with that, but overall loved the vibe. Drum programming was great. Let's take a quick listen to the end as well, just to see how it ends off. Ooh, that flute, so nice. I think there was another part earlier on in the track where it was just the flute also. That was probably one of my favorite parts, I think. Like a really lovely moment to break away from the other parts in the tune, which up until that point had been pretty steady. So yeah, I loved the flute stuff. Thank you so much for sharing this track, Ari. Claps for Ari in the chat, everyone. Let's keep moving. Let's see. Ooh, wow. These tracks are coming in. Great. So we have this next one from, I think this one's from Avon or Avon. I do apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, but I have seen you before, so thank you so much for sending this track in. And this is a track you just finished working on. It's slightly mixed, but not mastered yet. Got it. Cool. Thanks for sharing that info. It's usually really useful to have more info just so that, we understand where we're coming from, and that helps us a lot and gives us more context. So again, it kind of also goes back to, I think, whose comment was it? Ill Designer's initial like approach to giving the comments and stuff like that. So thank you, Avon, for sending in the additional information. Really appreciate it. Okay, cool. And this one is coming in from SoundCloud. So I'll do a little bit of rerouting. You won't hear me for a second, everyone, but we're going to listen to this. So here we go. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Avon, for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Yeah, all the claps in the chat. That was amazing. Overall, I just loved it. I know, unfortunately, we can't listen to the whole thing because it's 8 minutes long, but that was like 3 minutes of it. And that was great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think within that 3 minutes itself, there was so much development going on, amazing amount of attention to things like ear candy and heading, back and forth between like the left and the right ears with all the panning stuff. That was probably my favorite part about the first part of the song especially. So really just kind of like going in and, you know, taking a look at that too. So yeah, okay, I see a couple of questions already in the chat. Cosmic J, so as I mentioned already, this track was on SoundCloud, so we're just listening to it. We're not seeing it. So I already mentioned that. So yep, we are still looking at another track's waveform just because like that's how it's currently running. I just saw Sonia just had a comment. Is it meant for boiler room? I agree. Is this meant for boiler room? Like, Avon, let us know where you're going with this. That was awesome. Yeah, one of my favorite parts is really when, like Ari said, when the 4 on the floor came in. Like that was like such a moment. I think you built really wonderfully towards that moment. And yeah, it kind of goes along with what Il Designer mentioned too. There was a lot of really great movement up until that point, and I think it was really great overall. And this is maybe just, you know, even more of like a very, it's so minute. It's so minute. I was thinking like there's a nice clap that you're using. It sounds very much like a synthesized clap. So like an 808 or possibly a 707 or 909 clap as well. It just sounds a little bit high passed. I'm not sure if you're maybe EQing it in such a way, or maybe balancing the drums in such a way that the clap seemed a lot thinner than usually it might sound, but it's super small. And again, it's, you know, one of those things that's like a very taste-based sort of thing, just because I'm thinking of a lot of, you know, the other kinds of trance, Goa trance or psytrance tracks that I've listened to, and usually the clap is in a little bit of a slightly lower mid-frequency range. So that might be something to maybe listen out for. And perhaps you've already done this too. Like usually when I'm listening to tracks or references, when I'm making a certain production in a specific genre, I listen to the sounds that they've picked too. So I do a lot of like back and forth referencing depending on exactly what I'm doing. But overall, the movement was amazing. I would love to listen to the full 8 minutes of it. I wish we had the time to do that, but I still have like a couple of other submissions to go through. And thank you everyone for joining in on this very cool ride. It's very cool to listen to. Yeah, lots of claps for for everyone. So yeah, where are the rave lights? I feel like we are missing the rave lights, but yeah, awesome job, Evan. Thank you so much for sharing this. Let's head over to our next person. Oh goodness, we're really going through all of these right now. The next one is from, oh yay, cool, Mandolin is Cyan. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for sending the audio file. We appreciate those so that we can take a look at them. Let me also create a new audio track in Live to facilitate this. And let's bring in your track. So this is called Peace. The very first work that you've made in Ableton. Ah, cool, thank you. So Ableton is again, sorry everyone who's heard this from me many times. Ableton is the company and Live is the software. So thank you. I'm glad that you submitted this. I'm so happy that this is your first work in Live. Let's take a listen to it. Ooh, gonna mute myself too. much, Mandolinist Diane, for sending that in. Some claps in the chat, please. Ooh, yeah, to address Cosmic J's comment with the ellipses at the end. Yeah, we mentioned it kind of like earlier on also that because of the way things are being routed, sometimes the bass doesn't come across as clearly in this particular stream, but I thought the bass sounded great, at least from my end as well. And you know, I think as far as like mixing on closed headphones goes, I won't spend too much time on this since I want to make sure I'm focusing on Mandolinist's track that they submitted over here. Thank you for submitting it. But yeah, I will also say that it's cool to, even if you mix on closed headphones, it's more important to know your headphones rather than be too, you know, caught up on the fact that they're closed as opposed to open. But let's go ahead and take a listen to some parts about this. I thank you so much for submitting this, Mandolinist. Like I said, it's really great for you know, your very first track in live, and thank you for sharing this with all of us. Really appreciate it. The biggest thing that I wanted to mention overall is maybe just change. But I think I loved, you know, the overall selection of sounds that you did. Let me just make this a little louder so we can take a listen to some of these parts. Like I think there's this part with the griot that I loved very much. So thank you for sharing this with all of us. I liked the overall vibe. Thought it was, you know, really great. Some rhythm stuff in there, but a very relaxed overall sort of chill vibe. If that was what you were going for, maybe you want to share a bit more about that as well. But yeah, I think if there's one tiny thing I could even speak about, it's just be a little bit careful maybe about the way that you're lining up samples. I'm not sure if you're able to share about this with us since you're in the chat, but do you want to tell us a bit more about perhaps whether you used MIDI to do this or audio? I'm guessing it might be one of them over the other based on how this sounds, but if you could confirm for us, that would be amazing. So I would, yeah, just say just be a little bit careful maybe about how certain things are lining up. Like if we listen to the beginning of this track one more time, let's go in. Right, so this tiny section over here, you can kind of hear how the kick comes in and then that tambourine comes in after. And I kind of get how, you know, it's maybe a little bit more laid back, so you want the timing to be a little bit off, but it seems like it's a little bit too off. Just a tiny bit, because it can be really useful to do that. Ah, yes, every sound in MIDI. Cool, thank you. So the great part about that is that you might be able to probably control a little bit more of the timing of each of these sounds. So yeah, just be a little careful with how that part is lining up. So like this second tambourine on the right side is great. This first tambourine is just like a tiny bit slow, and I think that's the one that's panned all the way to the left as well. Awesome, yeah, thanks Mandolinist for sharing that. So yeah, I like how the overall rhythm is. Perhaps just shifting a couple of notes here and there for a little bit of quantization now and then as well. But yeah, cool. So thank you so much for sharing this, really appreciate it. And I think maybe next I'd kind of be curious as to know, like, you know, how you might be developing this, because I know it's about like 3 minutes or so, I think, the track. But yeah, really excited to be kind of like listening to all of this as well. Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for sharing it. Yeah, lo-fi-ish. Oh, I just noticed Caesar popping in as well. Yeah, so Cosmic J, not custom stream sound at all. Close the answer. Yeah, sure. So maybe this also, it's funny how I said this at the beginning. Maybe you didn't join us back then, Cosmic J, but usually for feedback sessions, we try to keep things, this is the most I'll detract from this again. So apologies to everyone who was already with me at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to repeat myself again. But usually for feedback streams, we try to keep things really focused and specifically pertaining to the stream. So like unsolicited feedback towards other elements might not be super conducive because we want to keep things super focused. But yeah, referencing is good for, you know, any kind of situation where I think you're mixing on a system. Like, it's more important to know the characteristics of your system. So like even my speakers over here, or if I have a pair of closed headphones or open headphones, it's more important to know the specific kind of headphones I personally feel. So I've had tons of arguments with colleagues about this in all levels, so I'm happy to debate it. But yeah, I found that it's much better, especially if you're, you know, not having access to a super large studio where you know that you're gonna have transparency. So yeah, just being able to do that. So yeah, let's keep things focused. Let's keep things safe and, open and relevant to the conversation. Thank you, Mandolinas, for submitting this. Gonna deactivate it so that we can bring in the next person's track. Thank you all for sending all of these in. Oh my goodness, I think we had a few more pop up. Cool. The next one is from Trevor. Is Trevor in the chat? Trevor, if you are in the chat, let us know as well. And thank you again for sending this in. We're going to do the usual strange routing thing. So I will probably have to, change this up a little bit. And great. So here we go. Yay, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Oh, cool. So I think, that's Rhythmix. Yeah. Thanks, Rhythmix, for sharing that with us. Really appreciate it. I loved the overall vibe. We're getting some really nice comments in the chat as well. Caesar loves the guitar. I loved the guitar too. Avon taken back to the 90s. Yeah, totally. Nice space also. The melody is supposed to be singing. Thank you. That's really useful for us to know because otherwise we would have never known that. So thank you for sharing that information. Looking forward to when you have some saying on this. Rhythmix, do you maybe want to tell us a little bit more about whether you intend on singing on this yourself or maybe you're getting someone else to sing on this? So yeah, we'd love for you to maybe share a little bit more about what exactly you plan to do with this because it sounds really, really great. The bass was great. Loved the vibe also. If I could make a tiny suggestion again, and maybe this is something that is a little bit more on a broader scale. I loved how you had the different sections. So I'm glad that you mentioned it's meant to be singing because I can kind of hear now how maybe there are different sections in the track. Maybe there's a first part that's supposed to be a verse and then a chorus follows that. So maybe a tiny suggestion might be perhaps focusing a bit more on the transitional elements between section to section. Because if I closed my eyes and if I listened to the track and perhaps muted temporarily that lead synth, I'm not sure if I would be able to get the feeling of okay, here's section A, and then moving it to section B, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is for example, if the melody wasn't there, because the melody was changing in pitch, so lower melody, higher melody, different kinds of motifs going on. I wouldn't really know the different levels in energy. So maybe adding a couple of just tiny little elements to move things along. Something like a riser might have been very cool. So in live, for example, there's a couple of different default things that sound pretty good. I think there's actually a thing that's like riser white noise. So maybe that could even be something that we take a look at. I'll make it softer so we're not killing our ears, but just a little bit of motion from one part to another. And not even just risers, but also like the opposite, like falls. So things like cymbals, stuff like that. Ooh, not sure either, or not really a singer. That's okay. Honestly, it's funny. I'm not a singer myself, but I kind of taught myself to be a vocalist in a weird sort of way, and I ended up singing a lot on my own tracks. But yeah, I think it'll be great either way. I'm really excited to hear what you do of this. Thank you so much for sharing it with the community. I think it's really cool to have all these different vibes, even from like the number of tracks that we've listened to in like the first 45 minutes, everyone. It's been really great. So, okay, cool. Gonna move on. Thank you so much, Rhythmix. I really appreciate it. It's like lightning speed. Okay, cool. So noise in motion. I think we had noise in motion in the chat. And I think you're specifically looking for feedback on the production sound. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's take a listen to this. I'll probably have to do the roundabout routing thing again because this is a YouTube link. So yeah, let me go ahead and try and see if this is working. Oh, and it's quite short. Thank you. And ooh, I see some interesting descriptions on the video noise in motion. So if you want to leave us some information in the chat about how you created this, I think a lot of folks might be interested in hearing that out while I get this set up over here. Here we go. Yeah, that was awesome. Cool. So gonna unmute that, but yeah, super smooth. Love that. Thank you so much, Noise and Motion, for sharing. And I'm sorry if I did put you on the spot by asking to explain that, but this was wonderful. Like in the video itself, everyone, and this was like a direct link to 343, so we can't really share it, but it was amazing. Like it was a lot of looping stuff being improvised with a Max for Live patch. Very cool stuff. I think, yeah, I loved the overall sounds that you picked. I think when the bass came in, that was such like a ooh sort of moment in a good way, in the best of ways. It kind of took us to a different place immediately. I loved also the tiny little glitchy things that you were doing as like little effects. Really great, kind of like tantalizing the ear sort of situation. So thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, Sonia, this is great for a glass of wine. It totally is. Which maybe we all need at this point. I don't know. But yeah, I loved it so much. I think the overall vibe, again, kind of similar to what I mentioned just now. I would have loved for this to go on for even longer. Like it was like totally establishing a vibe. I really felt like I was only just getting into the mood of things almost even. So yeah, I loved the overall vibe. I think one thing that you did mention was you were looking for feedback on the overall production sounds. I think the choice of sounds was really great. So I think it really is just a matter of figuring out how you might want to rearrange things if you're planning on making this longer. And maybe if you're in the chat, Noise in Motion, if you want to tell us what you intend on doing this, like do you intend on making this maybe a full performance, or do you intend on making this a full track? That would be really useful for all of us to know. But yeah, this was really great. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Really appreciate it. And let's see. Okay, cool. So the next person, I was trying to take a look at this as well. I'm not sure if we have Roy Divson in the chat, but unfortunately, when you shared the file with us, you did not give us permission to access it, so we don't have permission to access it. We can't listen to it. Sorry, Roy. But maybe for the next feedback session, if Adam's doing the next feedback session, we'll probably be able to have him take a look at that, maybe. Yeah, because there was a Flume remix that I was very excited to listen to, but unfortunately, we couldn't hear it. So I'm not sure if Roy's in the chat. Roy, if you're in the chat, please send it over to us again, and please make sure that the settings are correct. Okay, Noise in Motion just said, is live looping completely improvisation? Yeah, totally. So I think we understood that. My question was more of like, are you thinking of making this a part of a long set, or do you want to make this improvisation format into like a proper track, or what do you want to do it? Okay, cool. The sound you use is in the list of sounds that you made. Great, cool. So making your own patches and presets, that's awesome. Yeah, the sounds sound really great. I love a lot of the selection that was happening. So thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. So I guess Roy is not in the chat. Roy, if you're in the chat, let us know. But if you're not in the chat, then I guess you can't let us know. So cool. So I'm gonna just head over here again and do the last couple of tunes I think that we had for this. Boop. Here we go. Okay, cool. Great. So this one's another SoundCloud link, so I'll have to do the strange routing thing again. But in the meantime, do we have oh no, I think this is this from Caesar? I'm not sure. It's from not another CH dot music. So not another CH. Maybe that's not super sure of how to pronounce that. I do apologize. But yeah, let us know. Roy's in the chat. Okay, cool. Yeah, Roy, so please do not, if you can, don't send the track by SoundCloud. If you can, please just send it as the WAV file, because I much prefer the WAV files actually, but just make sure that you're setting the sharing link to public so that I can get it. So yeah, thank you, Roy, for shouting out. But in the meantime, we're gonna move on to not another CH. I think not. Yeah, Caesar, cool. We got Caesar. Awesome. So let's go ahead and put this up over here, and I'll do the routing thing again, and we'll take a listen to this. Great. Okay, cool. Here we go. Let's go. That was great. That was awesome! Yay! Thank you so much, Caesar, for sending that in. Yeah, claps for Caesar in the chat. Yeah, Aaron's like now on a rave. Art of Noise vibe. Ooh, yes, totally, absolutely. This is really great. Thank you so much for sharing this, Caesar. And I know that you mentioned you were kind of really just starting off with this in general. And you're kind of like building skills over the last year. Thank you for sharing that with us. I really loved the overall vibe of the track. I think the track was a little longer, so I had to kind of fade it out, but I would have loved to listen to like the whole thing if we could have the time. The development across the different sections was like really great. I think that was probably my favorite part, and maybe that's something that might have been related to my comment just now about Rhythmix's piece. Like I felt like the transitions here were definitely very clear. So like if I closed my eyes and even if I didn't have all of like the vocal chops and stuff, I would still be able to figure out the overall motion of this right now. If I could make a tiny thing, and again, this is one of those like small things, same thing that I mentioned to I think what's their name? Sorry, I need to look up in the chat again. Need to scroll up a little bit. I think it was whose track was it? Might have been Avon's track actually. But yeah, I think as far as like the overall sections go, not sections. Goodness, what was I thinking about? The clap itself. Check the compression that you're doing on the clap, because when I was listening to a few of the claps just now, there were some of them which might, again, I might have to take a second listen to it. There were some parts where the compression of the clap was almost attacking the clap too quickly and then kind of bouncing back up. So that's why I was trying to listen out for that just now. So just maybe go ahead and check the threshold on your compressor that's on the clap or the drums in general, if you're doing like bus compression or only specific to the clap. There was a bit of a weird tail on there, but overall, again, it was one of those super small things, and you did a really great job with that. You want to know the volume is okay. Sometimes you feel it's kind of low. People are gonna disagree with me on this, but I feel that if, as far as like mix goes, your track sounds great, and volume overall, that's more of like I guess a mastering type of thing. I could go on and on about loudness wars, but really that's, kind of the, that's an entire stream on its own, I think. And at this point, we really are towards the end of the stream, but I'll just finish off my feedback for Caesar. Thank you so much for submitting this, Caesar. Really appreciate it. This was like really great to listen to, and I'm so excited for the rest of the music that you're gonna make, especially if you said that you've really just been working on this for a relatively short period of time, but it's sounding awesome. I think it's sounding great. Maybe keep a lookout for like just small things about like compression and over compressing things, but yeah, it sounds great. I think it's great. The only thing with volume, I think, since you specifically mentioned volume, is that there's a part in the track where you do a kind of build-up. I think when you do that build-up, there's a drop in the energy, and that drop in energy, you may or may not have done some volume automation to it. So maybe just make that a little bit less intense, because it kind of tapered all the way down, and then there was a build-up after that. But no, this was really great. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Ah, yes, Jasco, I just saw your question, where do you put tracks for feedback? Yep, there was an email all the way at the front. We're at the end of the feedback session though, so this is all my time for today, all our time at 343 Labs really. And thank you everyone for being so flexible of us and hanging on until the end as well. Some of you know this, but the stream was supposed to go on a little earlier in the day, but here we are, jumped in last minute. My name's Claire. I usually host the Monday show on 343 TV, so if you want to pop over to the 343 Labs channel and give us a subscribe, you can be notified of whenever we stream next, and you'll be able to catch us there. I also have my own YouTube channel. I go by dolltr as an artist, so that's in lowercase letters, DOLLTR!CK, and I also do daily programming over there. So if you want to check that out, you can follow me over to my channel as well. And thank you to everyone else who sent in their stuff. It is 4:30, so I do have to go at this point. But thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your music. Really appreciate it. And yeah, it's been really great to say hi to folks in the community again. So tomorrow, my show is going to be on Ableton Live, just before I forget. And if you would like to be updated for the new courses that we have, because ultimately 343 Labs is a school, which most of you know as well, and we're based in both New York as well as in Berlin. If you want to check out our classes and our courses, you can head over to 343labs.com to check out the courses and the offerings that we have. Thank you all for joining in. I have one last order of business, and that is to announce the winner for our pigments giveaway. So drum rolls, everyone. And instead of doing a drum roll, do I actually have one? Maybe I'll have one in live. Drum roll. Maybe. Oh, that's more of like a drum break. But anyway, drum roll. The winner of our pigments giveaway, Arturia Pigments, is Aria Aulia. So thank you for entering, everybody, but special congratulations to Aria Aulia, who has won the Pigments license. Thank you to Aria. Yay! Congratulations on the Pigments license. And yeah, thanks everyone for all of your time. And I hope to see you all again. I probably might not be doing the next feedback session, since this is usually hosted by Adam Atropolis, who's also an amazing artist and instructor at 343. But maybe if this was your first time joining me for a feedback session, now you know the way I roll. And things can get a little bit maybe pedantic, but it's really just so we can all foster a really healthy kind of feedback situation. I guess I'll just finish off by reiterating what I said at the beginning to kind of end things. But I think everyone always has such a love and hate relationship with feedback. But I guess the most important pieces of advice, and again, I really don't like giving advice because I feel like it's like, who am I to give advice, really? But in my experience, I've found that unsolicited feedback is often when people are trying to give you advice without you even asking them, and usually that's more detrimental. So it's important to give feedback in a space that is properly set with the boundaries for feedback, much like we have for this. Like, if you're specifically asking for feedback, then it's cool to give feedback. But if not, don't be the douchebag who tries to up some other producer just because you think you know more than them. That's like the least thing. And then the next thing, of course, is that you don't have to take feedback. So even though like we all shared a couple of things, a few people also put in their feedback and their comments in the chat, like you don't have to take that. I think a part of feedback and the entire process is really a big loop, right? So it's like you do make something, you ask for feedback, people give you the feedback, and you try implementing it. But if it doesn't work, that's totally okay, and you can keep working on it, and then you can keep asking for feedback, and people give you feedback, and it's kind of like the loop. So I like that part about feedback a lot. So yeah, congratulations to Aria Alia for winning the Pigments license. I believe someone from the 343 Labs team will be in touch. And also big shout out to Thomas, who's running things behind the scene. Please drop some claps for Thomas in the chat, everyone. Once again, this has been dolltr. It's been or Claire, really. Not in dolltr mode at the moment, although some of you know me as that. But yeah, I hope to see you again tomorrow. My stream's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time, also on the 343 Labs YouTube channel. So if you subscribe to us, you can be notified of whenever we stream next. And if you subscribe to my other YouTube channel, my personal one, you can see me do more stuff. The reason why I have this set up actually is I was just filming a video. So y'all are getting a hint of stuff. I've got the Okos here, got the push here. Ooh, some interesting things happening. But yeah, if you want to check out some of my content too, you can find find me over there. You can also follow us on Instagram. I think 343 Labs has a really good community on Instagram too, and we often post about the other cool stuff that we're doing also in Berlin, which is where our co-founder is currently holding down the fort for the Berlin location of 343 Labs. So yeah, thanks so much again, everyone, for tuning in. Hope to see you all tomorrow. And yeah, until then, see you next time. Bye.
Across the universe, a whisper wakes. Have you been listening for a wind of change? My ears are open, eyes aren't closed. I'm waiting for a miracle again. Have you been calling out my name? Oh, we're in a world taken by madness, sadness in a sea of stolen words, broken and shattered. What mattered means no more. In a time shaken by thunder, wonder is the seed of life forgone, crippling under. What happened to us all? We fade, pulled back into the shade. We fade, pulled back into the shade. Just fade away, locked into a memory you can't save the day. If only you had tried. Just fade away, locked into a memory you can't save the day. If only you had tried. Across the ocean blue, a wave will rise, consuming all who walk through day and night. My heart is beating with the drums. The breath is coursing through my lungs again. Or is it just a trick of time? We're in a world taken by madness, sadness in a sea of stolen words, broken and shattered. What mattered means no more. In a tide breaking the silence, violence is the wage of life forlorn, fighting for triumph. What happened to us all? Just fade away, melt into across the universe, so whisper wakes. Have you been listening for a wind of change? My ears are open, eyes aren't closed. I'm waiting for a miracle again. Have you been calling out my name? Oh, we're in a world taken by madness, sadness in a sea of stolen words, broken and shattered. What mattered means no more. In a time shaken by thunder,